Yeah, I think the power of coaching is about being vulnerable, and leaders having this kind of impression that they have to be strong, they mustn't show their weak side, they mustn't not know the answer. And when you use a coaching framework, you empower the other people around you to come up with answers. So it's very much about letting go of being the one with all the answers, but being the one with all the great questions, as I referred to earlier. Understanding that the best leaders are the ones who ask the greatest questions. Even Einstein said, you know, if I had 55 minutes to solve a problem, I would spend most of it working out what's the best question I need to ask myself first, and then a very small amount of the time on solving the problem.
Welcome back. Today I'd like to introduce you to Rachel Stone, and she's going to be talking about how to become a transformational leader. So before we get started, Rachel, would you like to give the audience just a brief overview of your background?
Yes, I've got quite an interesting background from a career point of view. I started off in commercial management with GEC Avionics, straight out of my A-levels, straight onto a day release with them once a week at college, and I became an assistant buyer. And from then on, I went on to do some travelling around the world. After that, I came back and wondered what I wanted to do, and I decided I wanted to get into retail management, and that meant I could work with the public more and build up sales in a different sphere. And I learned lots and lots about how to run a fast-moving consumer goods business that relied heavily on people skills. And after that, I settled down and had a family and thought I would become a stay-at-home mum. And during that time, I wanted my safely imagined future where I could be a mum and have my children, because during my childhood, I didn't really get to do lots of things with my parents, and so I wanted my children to have that time with their mum at home. And sadly, my husband became unwell, and it turned out that I had to go back to university and become the main financial provider for my family. And at that time, I didn't know quite what to do, so I took some careers advice. And luckily, I'd spent one day a week at college and became qualified in business studies. And the careers advice lady at the time, at that moment, saved my life, because she said within 2 years you could become a qualified teacher. And that meant to me, importantly, I could have my children at home with me in the holidays. So off I went into career then in education. So I'd gone from the commercial sector to the retail sector, into the education sector, and within a short period of time I built up my skills, and I did quite a lot of coaching of people in the team, and I became an advanced skills practitioner. And one day in the classroom, my children in the classroom said, you know a lot about business, miss, but you've never really had one. And that set me thinking. So at that point my husband's ill health became better, and I became unwell myself, and then I needed time where I didn't stand up the whole day. I had a problem with my heart, and I realised I couldn't stand up teaching. I gave it my all and I felt faint. So I thought, what can I do? And then it's when I decided at that point that I would set up my own business, coaching. So I combined my coaching skills from my education background with my business skills. I studied with the Coaching Academy, did a small business diploma with them, and then in 2012 I set off as a business coach. And during that time in education, I realised that there were lots of people who became leaders and managers who'd never had any formal training. And I wanted to be part of that and to support them to get those skills. So then, over the months and years as my business grew, I did more and more professional development around leadership and management. So since 2012, right up to this very day, I spend a lot of time with leaders, helping them to grow their business through expert leadership.
So what is a transformational leader?
Well, a transformational leader is what I classify as an even better leader. You've got leaders and you've got transformational leaders. They're the people who use coaching skills to get the best out of their team, and that really is just a case of knowing how to ask great questions. So leaders don't have to have all the answers, but they do need to have the right questions to ask to get the best out of their team.
In your talks, you talk about the power of being uncomfortable.
Yes,
Could you say a bit more about that?
Yes, I think it's kind of well documented that it's really hard to grow and evolve and to move forward if you just stay the same as you are. So if you think about any force of nature, it normally goes through a change of state, and that normally requires a force to act on it. And it's the same with human beings. When you become something better than you were before. It isn't a straight line. You sort of dip down and go up. You have to apply effort. You have to try new habits, learn new things. And that can sometimes make you feel uncomfortable. Trying something new, learning a new technique. And I think that's a hard thing for people when they become transformational leaders, because they're moving away from telling people things to asking them instead. And that is a little bit uncomfortable for some people.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of becoming a transformational leader?
Yeah, the first thing is you need to have something that you're moving towards that's bigger and better than where you are now. And in a company, that can be a new strategy, it can be a new process, it can be a new target, a new sales target. So you start from where you are now and you set a vision for where you are in the future. And then you set out your roadmap and you set out why that matters. And you share that with the whole team. And so you're creating a clearly defined vision for the future. And you lift your people up towards that vision so that everybody's pointing in the same way. So there's quite a bit of work that has to go on as a whole company, not just as the leader itself. You've got to take the people with you.
Yes.
So that's the first step, really, having a clearly defined vision that is powerful, moving, inspirational, and lifts people up. For example, designing something new, doing a process in a new way, delivering a service in a new way, reaching a new target audience. All of those things are new and different and more exciting, and that takes the team up a level, and it requires a high level of performance.
Right. Are there any examples you'd like to share?
Yeah, companies that have done things new sometimes are called disruptors. So, for example, the subscription model, I quite like the company Schmoll, and they deliver a plan for your detergents and home products that are environmentally friendly, not tested on animals, reduced packaging, and you don't get them necessarily from a supermarket. You sign up to a plan and you have those delivered to your home. That's a new way of doing things. Obviously, we've got classic examples like Uber, they disrupted a market, Airbnb, they disrupted a market, but it can be as simple as just offering a service that's slightly niche and above, and what the customer might not expect as normal, but above and beyond. And those are the things that are examples that lift an organisation from being just ordinary to even better than the rest.
Right. Okay. Good. So how does your training and coaching expertise fit into this?
The way I like to work is start with the board of directors and help them to establish where they are now clearly and with absolutely truthful, honest approach. We do what I call is a deep dive day. We look at the nitty-gritty of what's working well and who's working well, and the things that are holding a business back.
Yeah.
The glitches in a process, the pressure points, the pinch points, and we all decide, what needs to change and what's the most important thing to work on first. And we come out with a one-page plan, and then we build a leadership framework around that. And typically, as a company grows, they quite often have had people become leaders by accident. Somebody might be very good at sales, for example, so therefore they get promoted as the company grows to lead the sales team. So they move away from their skills of selling and into the skills of managing the work of other people. And that becomes an uncomfortable place to be. And sometimes performance goes down. That's why I like to offer proper training for those leaders to build the skill set that's not just about the skills of selling, but the skills of managing and leading a team effectively. And mainly that comes down to effective communication. And quite often that depends on what I use is a tool called ICQ disc profiling. So everybody knows their own personality profiles, and everybody knows everybody else's in the team's personality profiles. That's quite a deep, intense process. We normally do that meeting once a month as a whole group of leaders, and then we do one-to-one coaching as well. So we do upskilling as a group, and then we do one-to-one implementing of the new skills and helping each other to build up that accountability, that challenge, that responsibility, and learning to be a cohesive leadership team.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I think the power of coaching is about being vulnerable, and leaders having this kind of impression that they have to be strong, they mustn't show their weak side, they mustn't not know the answer. And when you use a coaching framework, you empower the other people around you to come up with answers. So it's very much about letting go of being the one with all the answers, but being the one with all the great questions, as I referred to earlier. Understanding that the best leaders are the ones who ask the greatest questions. Even Einstein said, you know, if I had 55 minutes to solve a problem, I would spend most of it working out what's the best question I need to ask myself first, and then a very small amount of the time on solving the problem.
I'd like to thank you, Rachel, for agreeing to do this talk today. If people want to get in touch with you to find out more about your coaching and training courses, then what's the best way?
Most people find me through LinkedIn. I'm
Okay.
Rachel Stone, and my banner is Even Better Leader. I've got a website, rachelstonecoaching.com, and my email is hello@rachelstonecoaching. I'm also on YouTube as well.
Okay, splendid. If anyone has any questions for Rachel, then please post them in the comments below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh yes, if you're interested in reading about leadership, I have published a leadership book, and there's something there, it's called Spend Time With Me, a story to inspire transformational leaders, and that's available on Amazon, and you can get that through my website.
Splendid, good. All right, well, if you enjoyed this talk and got some value from it, then please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.